everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Creation Entertainment Podcast. I'm Kit Bowen. We have a special Pop Culture Cinema Squad segment today where I am joined by my illustrious colleagues, Lynn Asparo and Brittany Marriott, as we discuss the final and last season of Stranger Things. We kind of do a deep dive on it, so definitely want to check it out and let us know your comments and what you thought about the last season of Stranger Things, the final season, actually. Spoilers, of course, we're going to let you know that, but definitely tune in and see what we have to say about Stranger Things. Another edition of the Pop Culture Cinema Squad. I'm Kit Bowen. We've got a special episode today. It's just going to be me flying solo. Adam Malin will not be joining us, but I have two wonderful special guests joining me in a great conversation about Season 5 of Stranger Things. Joining me is Brittany Marriott, who is our show manager from Creation. Hi, Britt.
Hi, everybody.
And we also have Lynn Asparo, our wonderful press relations woman and social media guru as well, for Creation. So it's going to be an all-girls Creation podcast. So yes, we're going to do a little deep dive into Season 5 of Stranger Things, which dropped very interestingly. They did a great promotion, right, Lynn? I think they
Great.
Right? Great marketing
Took over
campaign.
all of our holidays this year. Took over all of them. Forced us all to watch.
The first 4 episodes were dropped on Thanksgiving, and then the next 3 were dropped on Christmas Day, with the finale, the 2-hour and change finale, dropping on New Year's Eve. I'm going to let you guys start us off, but Britt, you're kind of one of the ones who really has put some of the pieces together. So tell me about what you thought overall of Season 5.
Okay, so overall I loved Season 5, but it's really hard to make me not love a TV show when you put effort into it, which is I'd be a really bad critic with that, because unless there's like obvious continuity errors or like big gaps or disappointments in characters, I tend to I'm here for the journey and what the writers write. So I loved Season 5 overall. I think it was a beautiful farewell and love letter to the fans, especially those of us that have been there from Season 1. My husband and I had actually just done an entire rewatch prior to starting Season 5, so it all feels very fresh to me, and it was nice because of that freshness, I was able to call out all the little things that they gave us as like a little flashback. So right down to Dustin's mom taking the picture in the exact same spot that she had taken the picture in Season 2.
The Halloween picture when they were Ghostbusters.
Yeah, there's so many like shot for shot things that they duplicated, especially in that season finale. Right down to the 3 popular girls that from school with Nancy. They're standing in the exact same position they were standing in the last, like when we saw them first in Season 1. Like there's little things like that are truly shot for shot, love letters to the fans. I loved that.
Yeah. I mean, this season. As a sort of recap, and to let you guys know, there will be spoilers. So we're going to kind of really, talk about what we liked and what we didn't like. So there's going to be spoilers. So if you haven't had a chance to catch up on all the Stranger Things, definitely tune out right now and come back and hear our take on it later. But spoiler alert on that one. So the recap basically is that, we're back in Hawkins, the last season, which was 400 years ago. That's the only bad part about the Stranger Things thing. It took so long to get it all out, right? Mm-hmm. But Hawkins was in bad shape, and there was a big rift between the Upside Down and the real world. And, so there's a lot of weird stuff going on, and people are, behind, quarantined and that kind of thing. So, they know they've got to get to Vecna. And they established that, what's his name? Jamie. I always say
Campbell Bower.
There we go. He as Henry. He was established as the main bad guy, but we come to find out there is more than just one bad guy. We forgot about the Mind Flayer, and he's really that thing, whatever that thing is really kind of controlling the whole deal. But so the kids have to go. Now they're fighting a new kind of army person because the old Hawkins science lab or whatever, all those guys are dead now. So now
Full
the
on
new guy-
military control.
now it's military controlled. And Linda Hamilton, nice little part for her. She appears as the baddie on that kind of stuff, and they're trying to find experiments, and they're trying to get superpowered people like they always do. So we have superpowers. Let's just make an army of superpowered people. So that's kind of their intent. And so
Always a good plan across all stories and worlds. It always works.
A good trope, yeah.
So anyway, 11 is now very assured and confident, and she's a grown-up person, and she's badass, and she's doing all this training, and Hopper, David Harbour's character, is training her, but still trying to be protective, all the same kind of stuff. I was feeling like a little retread, even though I wanted to see all the characters. The last couple seasons have been feeling a little slow to me, like it's okay, I know all this already. So I thought season 5 was a bit spotty for me at times, but I was still happy to see that it was all moving forward. But that finale was really just kind of just wiped all of those feelings away, and I absolutely just adored it. I mean, that's what I wanted every episode to be like, super action packed, and everyone doing what they're supposed to be doing, and hopefully living,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that was kind of my overall feeling of the season itself, was just that it was like, okay, let's get going, but Vecna has decided he's got to brainwash all these young kids because their minds are easy to control, and for him to be able to, maybe you can explain this, Britt, because it was a little confusing to me. So not only do we have the Upside Down, now we have another world. So actually the Upside Down is a bridge, and you got world up here, world down here.
Yeah.
No King Kong or Godzilla, by the way. Which it felt like that.
Before we start diving in, Lynn, how did you feel about season 5?
Yeah, so Lynn.
I actually really liked season 5. I feel like it's been a hot minute since I watched a show, or at least a season where I was anxious the whole time. And I love that. So I really liked it a lot. I liked that it wasn't, let's all play our part, but let 11 save the day. You know what I mean? I like that everybody was involved and everybody had something to add to that being the finale. And I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I will say,
I loved the end of the first 4 episodes with Noah Schnapp's character Will, like going, yeah, guess what? I got powers too. I forget.
Yeah.
I was like, let me tap into this now.
That's such a good turn too. And it's such a powerful moment. I remember watching like an interview with him talking about when they did it at the set read, like the table read, and how everybody was calling him, telling him you have to read it ahead of time, and he was like, no, I don't want to, and he ended up like, it's such a big moment, and especially for a character like him, like that poor kid has been through so much. So it was nice to give him a chance to feel that strength that we all know he had. Like, how many other small children could survive in the Upside Down the way he did? Like, he had such strength, but he never has really like had the chance to feel that because, of his mom taking care of him, and his friends, 11's there. Like, he hasn't really had that chance to stand up and like be the badass that we clearly know he is.
Yes, I loved it.
And he got rid of that bowl cut. He finally has a
well, that's where that confidence comes from, right?
Hot kid
That's
haircut.
what gave him superpower.
Hot kid haircut. Yeah, he became like a little bit of a heartthrob. Everyone keeps talking about Noah Schnapp and everything. So, but his character has a very interesting arc as well in this. Not only discovering his powers, but also, him talking to the Maya Hawke's character, Robin. Right, Robin, is that her name?
Yep.
Yeah, Robin. And how her coming out was how she kind of explains to him how she came out, and she wasn't sure how everyone would feel about it. And I thought to myself, oh well, then we're setting ourselves up here.
Yeah.
Did you
They
think
made it pretty obvious.
Yeah, did you like that? I mean, did you think it came out of nowhere? I don't know. I just didn't feel like they would have any issues with that at
I
all.
personally didn't feel like it came out of nowhere, especially because in past seasons, like when Mike came to visit Eleven when they were living in California, it was very obvious that Mike felt left out on there, and that Mike was expecting this like big reunion between him and Will that didn't happen. Sorry, yes, Will was expecting this big reunion between him and Mike that didn't really happen because it was all about him seeing Eleven. So
Right.
I think the root of that has been there. It's just whether or not you were focused on it. It's hard to focus on that when there's aliens taking over and monsters dragging people into other dimensions. So
Right.
I don't feel like it came out of nowhere. I think they handled it really well. They kind of like left you those breadcrumbs, and then they had that great gut-wrenching scene where he came out to all his friends. And the thing I love about the most is that everybody was like, "Cool, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
What do we want to do now?" Like, and
but I think it was interesting with Mike too. Finn Wolfhard is a good actor. He
they're all such great
because
actors.
he's saying I had a crush on and it doesn't say, but of course we all know who his crush really was, and Mike does too.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was very sweet between the two of them as well. They had a nice little moment together.
And that it was handled really well. I understand the people that for example, even my husband was like, didn't see where that had been coming from. And then as I pointed out past scenes, he was like, "Oh," and I was like, it's there if you pay attention.
Yeah.
It's not part of, it's not a requirement in the story. It doesn't,
Right.
it's just who he is. We all have
Well,
our
that's the
own
whole part
character.
about Stranger Things, which
Yeah.
was great, was that they did definitely interject all of this craziness going on with some interpersonal relationships and father daughters, mother sons,
When
relationships.
we get to things we don't like, though, I do have a grievance about some relationships.
Oh, okay. Well,
I would say though that scene, before you get off of it,
Yeah.
like I did love that scene, but the anxiety for me was like, there's other things happening right now.
I think we should prioritize.
It was lovely, but I just was like, don't make yourself weaker because
Yeah, I know. And he definitely had his character. In fact, before I started watching season 5, the Duffer Brothers, Matt and Ross, they the true creators and brain trust behind this whole thing. They said, okay, watch these episodes before you watch season 5, and then you'll get where we're going. And they were all about Will, still being connected somehow to Vecna and the Mind Flayer and all that kind of good stuff. So I went, oh, okay, I get it now. So I want to eventually go back and rewatch everything all over again. But I mean, his character was probably the one that changed and had the most satisfying conclusion, in my opinion. So, but Britt, you saw the Broadway show.
I did. On a snowy winter's day, drove my butt all the way up to New York, which is only about 2 hours for me, in the middle of a snowstorm because I was like, I need to see this before season 5.
And it did fill some holes in it, especially with the Henry character,
I
right?
will say it filled holes for somebody like me who like wants to know all the things. Like I want to know all the continuity. If you hadn't seen it, you didn't miss out. Like, it's not like you didn't understand what was happening in season 5. I will say, because I had seen the show, I wanted a little bit more from season 5 than they gave me. Because in the play, they open this whole story about, how Henry got like what happened in that cave, how he got to that point, what happened to him after that. Because he's been flayed from the Mind Flayer, as we call it,
Right.
since he was 8. Like that had a huge effect on his life. That's what led to his parents being killed. It led to all kinds of horrible things happening to this kid. So the fact that they kind of present in that show, in that play, that he is a victim, I kind of wanted them to dive a little bit more into the show. And we had that moment where Will calls him out on it when Will's in his mind, and like they force him into the cave to like confront the fact that he is also flayed. And he even says like, you're a victim too. But I didn't love that when they confront that, Henry just immediately flips and is like, yeah, but I chose this, because he didn't.
Yeah.
Like, he might have chose not to continue, like, not to fight it when he was 8, but, like, he's been flayed since he was 8, guys. Like, he didn't, it's not like he chose to be flayed. Like, he accidentally stumbled upon a guy and then some stuff got into his bloodstream and, like, now he's effed. Like, it's not really a choice to me. So I was sad we didn't, touch on that a little bit more.
Well, they did kind of half explain why he couldn't go into the cave, which is
Yes.
where Max was hiding,
Yeah.
Sadie Sink's character, and he couldn't go in there because it brought him great pain. But then when the kids escape and they go and they finally get in there, and Holly, she's like, we're safe. And no, we're not.
No, you're not.
We gotta keep running. But yeah, that they explain a little bit, like he's had trauma in that area or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
And like seeing the show explains how that guy got into the cave, how
Yeah.
that ether, other natural mind flare dust got into the case that's in the cave. So like it gave us those backgrounds, which you don't need to know. It's cool information to know, because the way my brain works, I'm like, but who is that guy? Like, where's the prequel on that? Like,
Right.
so it gave me a more full picture of like how this all happened and how we got here, which is interesting. So that's what I loved about it.
So
why
let me
was
get from you. You can start.
You know?
Who are some of your favorite characters, or characters you didn't like either?
Favorite characters, I mean, everybody loves 11, so I feel like that's a cop out to say 11, because like who doesn't love 11, right? I have noticed that I have an affinity for like Mike and Max. You asked me that question the other day, like who's my favorite character, and I started digging into it, like which one is like who's the one that when they come on screen, like I'm excited for them. And I realized it's the people that have these traumatic things happen to them. Like why do I gravitate to this? Because I was like, why is it like Mike and Max are my second two other than 11? And I'm like, it's because it's all these children that like such horrible things have happened to them, and they've like fought through it. And like, God, I don't know. Maybe I need to see a therapist, because I'm not sure what that says about me. But I love the arc of them going through this alone. Like Max has such a horrible story when you think about it. Like her stepbrother, like she moved here because of horrible parent situation, and then her stepbrother murdered in front of her, and like this poor.
But he wasn't very nice to her to begin with.
No.
Yes, but it's still her stepbrother. Like
Yeah.
And like it wasn't him in the end that chose all that stuff. Like he was clearly infested by this mind flare too. So it's a truly tragic story for me. And so knowing that the ramifications of her dealing with that grief turned into Vecna, going after her is even, to me, it's like it adds a second level of tragedy to it. 'Cause you're like, she's already dealing with a lot. Leave her alone. So,
But I actually had a little issue. I had some troubles with the love relationships, to be honest with you. I never really felt that they were all, because they're also kids, and right, and so when they fall, I actually had more feelings between Mike and Elle when they were little, when they were kids. That kind of that little relationship that they had before they started, and then that whole season where they're just making out all the time, just so funny.
to
and
Hopper's
so right.
dismay.
Everybody remembers that. You're in your room, you're making out, or you're outside and you're making out. David Harbour's character was great. But the Max and Lucas, Max and Lucas was a little hard for me. I didn't quite feel that one, but that's okay.
I feel like that one is definitely similar to like Nancy and them. It's a bit of a trauma bond. Like they liked each other, but it's hard to not get deeper feelings when you're helping each other survive all that stuff. Like Lucas has been sitting by your bedside when you're trapped in a crazy delusion. Like it's
but they stay together, which is kind of cool.
Yes, I like that the show implies that they stay together, especially because don't get me started on Nancy and the unproposal.
Okay, so Nancy and Jonathan, not good, no good.
Okay. They've been having issues for a while. I get it. They've been having issues, but I watched that unproposal scene and I was honestly at the end like, so you're not getting married, but are you staying together? So are we breaking up? Like I didn't even understand what the hell just happened.
I thought they were going to stay together, but
and that's why I was like,
don't.
Okay, so you decided not to propose because we weren't ready for that, and I know that we're not ready for that, and I thought that would fix things, and it's not going to fix things, But then at the end, it seemed like they broke up. And I was like, so we went from I might propose to never mind, we're not even dating anymore. I was very confused by that situation. And why would you throw the ring? Y'all don't have money. Keep that thing.
Yeah.
Jonathan
may have been my least favorite just because I just never gave him a whole lot. When he and Nancy were kind of starting to fall for each other, I liked that. But actually, to be honest with you, my favorite character was Steve. I love Joe Carey. I
gotta
just
look
thought
cute.
his arc too, from being a total douchebag to, being a hero. And of course, at the finale, oh my God, I watched some viral TikToks of that scene where he almost falls off the thing to follow
Right?
his
I
death. And
know.
I'm like,
Oh, the heart attack that the entire fandom had, like, of course not Joe Keery, especially
Bill
because
Spears!
it's America's favorite nanny. Like he's the best with a big group of kids, which I love
Yes.
that they threw that in there. That's what he wants one day, and he like, why would you want that many kids? And he's like, I don't know, I think I'm used to it. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
perfect.
Dustin was an interesting twist too, because he's always been the let's do it.
I like the
let's
darkness
go,
they gave
and
him.
Mhm.
total nerd to being super traumatized, super PTSD after what's his face dies in season 4.
I mean, all these kids
Yes.
have to have PTSD.
I know, but that really changed him. He became like, I don't give a fuck about
Yeah,
anything.
it gave him honestly, I liked it because it gave him a little bit more depth to his character
Yes.
than before, where he
Yes.
wasn't just like, the kid that moved here and is friends with all these friends and he loves them all, but like it gave him that edginess and a little bit more of the like gruffness that you would expect him to develop anyway because of the crap they've gone through. Like
Mhm.
it's hard to come out all happy. Like he's not the same kid that had a pet Demogorgon living in his terrarium, like that's it brought him a long way.
And that's what I liked, and I
Yeah.
appreciated that.
It was a
I'm
good
like,
evolution
that
to
kind
his
of
character.
trauma is going to affect somebody, and
Right.
he's just doesn't care. He just doesn't care anymore. He's not going to, act like, he's not going to cower next to a big bully or anything anymore. I
Yeah.
liked that about him. So,
And you
that
do
was
want to
good.
see evolution. So
Yeah. How about you, Lynn?
loved Holly. I loved Holly. I thought she was adorable, but I also love that they gave her, a spine there at the end and allowed her to be that hero, that little hero for them, for the other kids. And I just thought she was delightful. I really liked her.
She was.
However, talking about Holly,
Mm.
I have the same feelings the entire internet had. Why are we having our entire come to Jesus while your portal is about to close?
Yes,
Run
that-
towards
oh.
the portal.
Everybody talked about Max and Holly having that heart to heart, right? When their portals are like,
Not
what?
I'm
happening
surprised that
right
across
now.
the country, over the sound of fireworks, you didn't hear run.
right? Exactly. Yeah. Guys, this isn't the time. Let's move.
And
Like,
then
you've already
they're
watched
still
portals
just
close on
walking
you.
towards it. And then they're still
Yeah.
walking towards it.
Yeah.
Run.
Painful. Painful.
Yeah.
But so let's talk about the season finale and what we think's gonna happen. Now, I know you, Lynn, you said, "Oh, I think there's going to be another episode," and then I read Duffers are like, "No, that's
There's
fine.
a
what I'm
behind the
hearing.
scenes, and I think that's what's confusing people. They're going to release a
Oh.
behind the scenes thing, so there is another piece of content coming, but it's not the story.
Yeah." I really, endings to series are always
Hard.
can be a mixed bag. Can be a mixed
Yeah.
bag. Sometimes
Yeah.
they completely nail it. Like 6 Feet Under, I think is probably one of the best series endings of any TV show.
Oh my
out there.
God.
So
Love
good.
that show.
But Sopranos left people like, what?
Yeah.
Dexter,
I didn't mind
classic
it.
argumentative moment. You can argue with almost any Dexter
Are
fan
they
over that
gonna be
ending.
killed? Yeah.
Mhm.
Lost obviously is another one. People are like,
Ugh.
I hated that last. I didn't. And then of course Game of Thrones. Always going to have to talk about Game of Thrones and how even the entire last season was crapped on because it just didn't. It was moving too fast. And Again, I didn't have huge problem with it, but I can understand where the criticism comes from. So anyway,
Meanwhile, I struggle
nailing it
because
is-
I think I just have such respect for the writers that I always am like, I understand your vision. I might not have done it, but like I get why. I'm really bad at like hating on writers.
but the Duffers definitely had to, they had a lot of loose ends to tie up, just kind of like Lost too, where they got lost a little bit there,
Yeah.
and then they had to tie everything up. So bringing back, Elle's sister, who's now being controlled by the military to try to, like we said, create super soldiers. So you have her coming back, which I thought was nice because that season was that part of her storyline.
And it was
where
a
she
nice tie up
escapes.
because why would she be fighting all of this meanwhile her friends just like hanging out in New York?
Right,
like,
and they
doing things.
they never referenced her time out, where she was out and about. They never really referenced that again. So it was nice to bring that back together like that. So yeah, I think the common wisdom is that Elle did actually survive, correct?
I believe she survived.
I believe she survived.
Yeah. I think exactly what
However,
Mike
I saw
said.
Sadie Sink said that she doesn't believe she survived, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Ooh,
Oh,
interesting."
Yeah. Uh-huh.
but there's that. I mean, he makes it. It's
You
like
know.
when he's sitting there in the graduation scene, and all of a sudden he has
Puts it
an
together.
epiphany,
Yeah.
and he thinks about the sound things, which are whatever the military just devised some kind of a sound control that would block their powers. And
I
he
think she
realized
I
they
think
were
she
all
has to have survived. There's no way that wasn't exactly how Mike laid it out at the end because of those sound things. Like she had no power, she wouldn't have been able to talk into his mind if she was standing in view of those things.
yeah.
It
But
sealed it for me.
then you think the sister was still alive and being able to control
That's the
all
one
this.
part that I was like, but wasn't the sister already dead by the
But
time?
why wouldn't the sister just pretend she was already dead so Hopper leaves?
That's
Remember,
true.
Hopper wasn't in there when she died. It was just her and Elle. So
Right.
Elle
Yeah.
could have told her. Remember when she said, and that was what they were talking about. They were talking about how this doesn't have to be Elle's ending.
Yeah.
It's her ending. It was always going to be her ending. She's going to die here. However, it doesn't have to be Elle's. So she could have right there been like, go, keep doing your thing. Let me know when it's time.
Yeah.
Well, I agree. And then of course that last scene with them all playing D&D was just I mean,
Such
that's
a
really when you start to
Chef's
cry.
kiss.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Perfect.
Because that's
I
how
like
it
that they
starts.
added Max in there, and then the like.
And she's all
transition
pissed
over
off.
with
She
the-
goes, "What do you mean we can't throw a spell?"
No, right? And even like the very end with the transition of the next generation coming into play, I was like, that's
Yeah, that
cute
was
too.
cute.
Yeah, that was
really
very, very cute. I think that all of that, like I said, they nailed it. They totally nailed the end of it and left things open for
Mhm.
sure. Because I could see, them coming back and doing something or some
it would be
spin-off
it
of
would
some
be a
kind.
cool like 15 years later, Elle's like,
Hey.
"No, everybody's forgotten about me at this point. Maybe I'll pop back into town and say hi." Or just because the dust never came back out of Mike, the dust, whatever we want to call it, the gray stuff that came
Oh.
out of all the kids when they saved the kids, didn't come out of Mike other than the last time it supposedly came out of Mike during 4th of July at the
Are you talking about
Carnival.
Mike or Will?
Will.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay.
So that means even though they've disconnected Dimension X and they've quote unquote killed the Mind Flare, some of that Mind Flare dust is still in him. There is potential for that to cause issues later on.
But the Mind Flayer was killed. I mean, that was definitely right.
Yes, but are we to assume that the Mind Flare is the only thing that existed in Dimension X?
That's what we're calling it, Dimension X.
That Dimension X is what they, unless I've gotten that wrong, that's what I saw that they were referring to that as. But the Mind Flare being the Mind Flare is what the kids called it, and the shape it took was because of Henry's love of spiders. So that's what like created his supposed love of the Mind Flare, is his love of spiders. So it took that form. But that particle, whatever that particle dust is, that originally made it into, here I'm going into the play again, originally got into Dr. Brenner's dad, which then brought him back. Dr. Brenner had gone there and come back, and that's how the current Papa Dr. Brenner that we know got into all of this.
Okay.
He was always trying to figure out what happened to his dad. And they extracted some of that particle dust shit from his dad, and that's what ended up in the case that then affected Henry.
Gotcha.
That's
And
how
then
that
and then Henry kills his family, and then he ends up going to the.
and then
to the
he ends
lab
up with
thing.
Papa, and eventually Eleven shoves him into the Dimension X accidentally. Just 'cause
Now,
she
what
wants
happened
get
to
rid of
all the rest of those kids?
him. He murdered them all.
They were
Oh,
all
that's
dead.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
One murdered all of them, and then 11 shoves him through a portal to who knows where, but now we know to Dimension X,
Yeah.
where the Mind Flare that he's already got pieces of him in was there.
Hmm.
But that's, like, is there anything else on that planet? Is he connected in some way to something else?
It kind of looked like Mars to me. I don't know.
I will say, I did love the reveal of that big tree thing, putting its legs down and being the Mind Flare. I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
Mm.
that
was a big
whole
moment.
sequence literally had me like this.
Yeah.
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 I will say that was another time that I was like, guys, you don't have a lot of time. Maybe get your move on through the desert. Like, do you want to like run a little bit, hike a little faster? Y'all are out for like a casual stroll on a planet to figure out where we're going. And I'm like, you don't have that much time.
Nancy's like, I'll be the bait. And I think they had the conversation at the end where Robin says, well, I thought you'd go into the military.
Yeah, I loved that for Nancy. I loved that her character did turn into such a badass.
Yeah.
You know, like 'cause she always had that in her, but she was trying to fit the mold of the popular girl and like to fit in too much. And I love that she kind of has slowly gotten rid of that over the seasons, and now she's just like, nope, I'm bait. All these guns are mine. Thanks, guys.
I'm out, man.
Yeah.
All right. So put your thinking caps on before we wrap this up. I want, if you can think of one favorite moment over the whole course, that's something
The
that you
whole
love the
course
most.
of the series.
All oof.
Ooh,
Can I
Yeah.
have one?
great. Then you go first.
I loved. Now, Robin is a character that got a little problematic for me. Maya played her. I mean, when we're first introduced to her, she's kind of a smartass. You know, she's a little like Max. She's kind of. I felt like she was a little hard edged, and then she gets a little more quirky and like spacey, and I don't know. She just kind of got a little over the top for me as far as her kind of quirkiness. So that first season where they're introduced, and then the two of them are on those drugs and they're in the bathroom, and that's when she tells him, she tells Steve, I'm gay. Steve's like all ready to have a new relationship, and they have such a great chemistry, the two of them. So that was my favorite moment, is when they're in that
First
bathroom, they're high as fuck, and they're just dishing it all out to each other. Like I said, I think Steve was my favorite character overall. So that was probably one of my favorite moments.
Makes sense.
Ooh. So I wasn't a huge fan of the whole Russia thing,
Okay.
whole Russian base and everything, but I really loved Hopper taking control in Russia. Like
Yes.
when it was time for them to all be sacrificed to that monster that they didn't know about, and Hopper being like, I know exactly what this is. I've done this before. Here we go. You need like I loved that moment, and I've always loved that moment as much as like the whole Russia thing was not the strongest part of the show. I've always loved Hopper, and I love that it gave him. He's such a badass. He's such an undercover badass that doesn't want to be. He just wants to be a dad. He just wants to retire and like live in his cabin and not be bothered with this stuff. But I like the fact that anytime he has to, he can just flip into like the hero mode.
Yeah.
And he, in that instant, was like, I have to get home. We're not doing this. I've dealt with this before. Here we go.
Yeah. And I'm really pleased that he and
Winona's character,
Winona, that they end up together.
Joyce.
'cause
Especially because from the show, they Hopper's had a crush on Joyce all through high school.
I know.
Yeah.
I wanted to see a little bit more of that, by the way. It's like Max goes, oh yeah,
They
they're gonna
talk
make out
about it
and
when
then-
they talk about like sharing cigarettes under the benches and everything, but Joyce was always with Lonnie, and Hopper's loved her, liked her his whole life. So I like that he got a little happy ending there, especially since. All right, going back real quick. One thing that I would have made the entire season finale show better for me is if there was some sort of thing to Hopper that she was still alive.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's just too heartbreaking for me that thinks he's lost another daughter. So like,
Yeah, but I think he seems to have gotten over it a lot more than Mike did, because they
I
have.
mean,
that
he's helping
conversation.
Mike deal with it because he also was arguing with Elle over it. He knew that's where her mind was going. He knew that like she had made this decision. It wasn't sprung on him the way it was sprung on Mike. So I get that it was taking Mike a little bit longer, but even just like instead of giving him that bracelet back then, if that bracelet just ended up like on his table one day, so that like just something to know that like she's out there. Like she might not ever be in your life again, but she's out there, and don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay, Lynn. You got one?
I mean, just to pick one moment is kind of hard, but I do like a badass mom. And I loved Joyce in season one. I love Joyce, but I love Joyce in season one and just how she is like, you ain't gonna F with my kid.
And by the way, you're all wrong, and he's still alive. And
Yeah. No, she never gave up. She always knew.
Yeah, no matter how many times
Or
somebody
it-
called her crazy, she was like,
Yeah.
nope.
Yep. So I did love that, but I also loved like Mama Wheeler's
Yes.
badass moments in the finale too. So
Yeah,
Man,
she did it a
she-
few times in season 5. She
Yeah, she
got
had a
her
couple.
character. Her character
Yeah.
came a long way, especially for a character that doesn't know what the hell's going on.
exactly. I was like, look at you killing
Yeah.
some demogorgons.
yeah, she was badass. I enjoyed both of those moments. Those.
Speaking of, here's a quick question before we wrap this up. Where are the Demogorgons? Why weren't there any Demogorgons attacking during this whole final
Did they
mission.
kill them all? Are they dead?
There was a great meme of a bunch of Demogorgons sitting on the beach, like they did their job, they're out. And I was like,
There's
like, oh, I get it.
There's been so many great TikTok AI videos of like Mike finding Elle in, Finland or wherever, Iceland or wherever
Iceland.
she is, and being together and having babies. And I was like,
I love the like, where are the Demogorgons memes that keep popping up? 'Cause I'm like, that is a good question. There used to be a bunch of them, and I understand they're not a big deal anymore because Elle can just like throw them against a wall or whatever, but like they should still be around, right?
Well,
No?
maybe if the mind flayer dies, then they die.
Oh, well, I mean, the entire bridge died and collapsed, but like before that happened, shouldn't they
Shouldn't
still
have
be
been
there?
the watchdogs, yeah, because they were always around. If anytime anything was
If
happening,
you
they'd
just,
come out.
like, think back to season 1, they went through a random tree where there was a portal and found a demigorgon, like, and then almost died. Like, it used to be you went into the upside down and you almost died. Nowadays,
now
you
they
like,
just kind of
out
live
in
there. And
Camp out in there for a few days, no big deal. You don't see anything.
dilapidated house that is really my house on the other
Yep.
side, and
Just make sure the military doesn't find you. So maybe the military killed all the Demogorgons. We'll go with that.
The other thing that was very funny is there's a little meme of guy sitting around, and he's a parent of one of the kids. Is like, wait, do I have any kids? Do we know where the kids are? It's like, why
Well,
would
that's what they were like. Where does Dustin's mom think he is all the time?
Right, exactly.
I mean, they did in season 4, I think they did kind of the parents got all together and they're like, well, what's going on? That
And like Mr. Wheeler used to make that comment all the time. They don't live here anymore. I don't know. Why would you call here? Like, so
it's like in Harry Potter, what's her face? Hermione just erases everybody's
Right, just erase
brain.
their memory.
You don't remember me at all. Well, guys, this was fun. I think it was a great wrap up. It's a great show. I'm sure it's not over completely. There's something that's going to happen. They can't have this huge response that they've had and not move on. That's just not the way the industry works. It's like,
we still have
it made
Henry's
money. Okay, yeah, we got to do something.
Henry has a lost girlfriend out there somewhere that knows about all of this too.
We could do the prequel. We could do Henry's story. I mean, they kind of set it up,
I mean, or what happened to her, or how she's reacting to all of this. She knows exactly what's happening.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm sure it will continue on. But thanks a lot, guys, and everyone. Make sure to, if you have comments about the show, if you've seen it, let us know what you thought about and some of your favorite moments, characters. Like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff down there. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for everybody. Bye.
Bye.
So there you go. I'm definitely going to miss it. Maybe they'll bring it back as a movie or something. We'll see. But thanks for listening. And this weekend, if you're in the Norfolk, Virginia area, we're going to have a supernatural convention there. The road ahead. It's happening this weekend, January 30th through February 1st. And then in March, we'll have a little bit of a break, but then in March, we're going to do our first Rescue Verse, a salute to TV's first responder in the Chicago area. So definitely check it out. And then look forward to seeing co-CEO Adam Malin coming back with some more interviews with some of your favorite stars. So stay tuned for all of that. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.